Hi folks, CodeTutor here and my name is Anil Deshpande. Welcome to another video on Android CI/CD series. In the previous video, we have seen how to make it very easy to identify your application is debug or release or which particular flavor it is, whether it is a QA, staging or prod. And we could do it with a combination of the way we label our application build names and also the icons that we use for whether it is a release and debug. But now what we will do is we will introduce another flavor. We have seen only one dimension, that is environment dimension, but there could be more than one dimension that you can use. And let's introduce another dimension called as tier to basically distinguish between whether it is a paid or free app. Paid app might not be having any ads and free app will be having ads. So how you could do this combination with the existing flavors, because you will have to still support debug and release types and still support the environments, that is QA, prod and staging. So how to combine these three things together and then create the builds. So let's do that. So let me go here to the build Gradle.kts file and let me go back to the flavor dimensions where we have defined earlier, and here you can see that right now we only have environment. Instead of that, what I can do is list of any dimensions that you want to add. Environment is one and the other one is tier. So this is good enough. And now let me come down here and where we have added the flavors, let me create a couple of more flavors. So I can come here and add create free, and under create free I will have to declare what is the dimension, and dimension here is tier, and then application suffix, this will be dot free, just like what we had used earlier, dot QA, and then version name suffix would be hyphen free, and you can add a build config field, could be of boolean type, and you can define is paid, and here this is set to false. And in a similar way I can create another tier. Here it will be paid, instead of free it will be dot paid, and version name suffix would be hyphen paid, and boolean is paid is equal to true. So this will create two more flavors, and there is another way to introduce a build config field that I will show you here. You can write something like get by name and then whatever the flavor that you want to get. So free is the flavor that I want to get, and then under that I can introduce a build config field string tier name, and then I can write free, and I can introduce another build config field where you declare boolean data type and name is show ads, and in free app you show the ads. And now in the same way I will create another get by name, but this time it is for paid, and here I will use build config paid, and here it is show ads false. With this we have now configured everything in terms of new set of configuration that we need in the build.kts file. And now let me sync this and let me come to the build variants, and if you drop down here you can suddenly see that it is not just 6 build variants that we have, it is 12 build variants, because as I was explaining in one of the earlier videos, it is multiplication that happens depending upon how many flavors that you have with the build types. So build type was 2, earlier flavors were 3, so that was 6, and now we introduced another 2, that is free and paid, that means 6 into 2 12. Now let me open the main activity, let me go up here, and now let me introduce the new build configs related information that I added. So key value pair show ads build config dot show ads dot to string. Don't worry about build config in red color. When we build this, it should work fine. And now let me come here and select one of the option. This is production free debug. and let me run this. Yeah, show ads is equal to true. Let me just put something more here. If buildConfig dot show ads is true, then only show the ads, otherwise don't. So let me rerun this. Yeah, you can see that, and because it is a show ads true, we are seeing that. Let me show another information here. BuildConfig tire name and run this. Yeah, this is a tire name free, show ads true, that is why you are seeing the ads. Now let me change here to QA paid debug, and let me run this again, and it is debug, that is why you are seeing this debug build trigger leak activity everything. Then but tire name is paid, show ads is false, and that is the reason why you are not seeing that ads banner that we were seeing earlier. So now with this, you know how the introduction of more flavors basically makes the number of builds almost explode. So that is the reason why I had said earlier that think very carefully about how much build flavors that you want in your application, because if you start introducing flavors just for the sake of it, managing this can become really hell if you really don't think through this. In the next video, we will have a look at, is there a possibility of moving this particular buildConfig.show ads away from putting if and else conditions. We had done this for the release and debug types. If you come down here, diagnostics card, we had implemented this diagnostics provider, and this basically works with the concept of source sets, but this source set was for the build types. Now the question that I want to ask is it possible to have source sets for flavors as well? And the answer is yes. And in the next video, we will have a look at how to introduce source sets for the flavors, so that based on a particular flavor type, only a particular part of code gets bundled with the final build variant. And it just basically helps you to keep the overall application size very less. So let's assume that you are releasing a application which is paid application, and in that case, why do you want to keep this code where you are checking whether the build flavor is free? It's an unnecessary code that is not needed, and it is not necessary to basically push this code with a paid app. So in the next video, we will see how source sets can be applied for flavors as well. So stay tuned for the next video. That brings us to the end of this particular video. Don't forget to like, comment, share the video and subscribe to the channel. Take care. Bye.